It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Michelle, Chris, Jandel, welcome. Third Eye Local. Thank you. Third Eye Blind. We're called a lot of different things. So no, we really appreciate this opportunity that Pat gave us to present tonight. You're in good hands. We have teachers in our background. Jandel's mom was a teacher. Both my parents were college professors. In fact, was talking to them about this opportunity, and my mom had great advice. You know, keep the eye contact, keep them engaged and everything. And my dad just said, "I hope the heck you know what the hell you're talking about," you know, and everything like that. But a deep dive on digital marketing. When Pat talked to us about this concept, we said, "Wow!" And so, first of all, anybody been to Disney World? All right. Oh yeah. All right. Hollywood Studios. Seen Muppet Vision 3D? Hands up. Okay. So going through that whole ride and everything, as they're coming to the end of it, it's a movie that you're watching, and Kermit kicks it to Sam and says, "You know, Sam, are you ready?" And Sam says, "Yes, it's going to be a glorious 3-hour finale." And Kermit says, "You got a minute and a half." You know, that's kind of what we feel like we've got in doing a deep dive in digital marketing in an hour. So what we're going to be going through from an agenda standpoint is a lot of the what. And specifically, we're going to be focusing a lot on the paid side of digital marketing. But we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about sort of the why when it comes to the consumer landscape, and then to a certain extent at the end, the how, the budgeting side of it as a business. What we do in our business every day is we work with small locally owned businesses, and we help them with all aspects of what they need, whether it's placing digital marketing or building a strategy or just, you know, figuring out where to draw that customer base from. So again, we'd be remiss if we didn't go through that. And digital marketing is something that, you know, back in the 1700s, as you take your way through this, and mind you, that stops in 2000, okay? So, I mean, if this chart continued to where we are today, what's that?
It would sky off.
Oh, it's sky off. It would be, absolutely. So, I mean, that's the challenge and that's the opportunity, is the fact that there are so many things that we see on a daily basis that we have to engage with, you know, whether we want to or not. And so, you know, in keeping all of this stuff in mind, and we would tell you, you know, our backgrounds actually are from more of a traditional media background. And it's not to say that we don't think traditional media works well, but what we typically lead with is the fact that just the way the consumer, you know, finds things and the way they interact today with consumer brands and businesses is largely driven through a digital experience. And so you kind of have to make sure you have that piece of it covered before, you know, maybe extending, you know, the resources elsewhere. So from that perspective, you know, this is a great study that was done by a local firm, and, you know, it talks about the challenge, right? So you're a small business owners, or you represent a small business, or whatever it is, you're running theoretically a business right within your job. It's your responsibility to take care of these things. And this was a great study that was done in terms of, you know, focusing on generating and retaining customers, and what do business owners worry about. And the top 3 things on this side of it, marketing was the most, 33%. And coming down the line from there, money, not too far after that, time right after that. Taxes was 4th. That might be a different night school. We cannot help you with that whatsoever. But what this really represents, again, and this is largely based on the fact of that chart we just looked at, is that where do you start? How do you figure out how to engage? Now, the good thing is, with the advent of a lot of media, is it's almost easier than ever before to find people that fit your audience and be able to reach and engage with them. And that's one of the things that we're going to talk about.
So we're going to talk a little bit about the decision journey and why it's so important and how it's changed over the last couple of years. So Vanna's going to help me out here because
we're roamers. This is really weird for us these days. So.
We don't sit very well. Even in our day job, we don't sit. So this was the classic marketing consumer funnel. It started with awareness, and it was very self-driven, right? I need to understand or start to hear things. You hear about the frequency of 3, things of that nature. So if you think back to where it used to be, where you would start to make a decision. You would say, I need a washer and dryer. I do need a washer and dryer, by the way. So what would I do? I would sit there and I'd go, well, maybe, I'd start to watch for commercials, or I'd start to look for information about it. But I didn't have the luxury that I do today. So you can see that it started with awareness, then it went down to familiarity, consideration, purchase, and then loyalty. So it was pretty easy. It was a one funnel. But today, in 2016, this is when this really started to change. This is how the journey is today. And just take a minute to look at that. It's totally circular. So I have a need, I start to shop, I get input, I look at may go out and look at reviews, I may start to ask my friends, things of that nature. So it's a total circular. And what this has done is when we had the traditional funnel, it was pretty easy. Today, the customer, the consumer is the one who is now in control. And it's how do we help that consumer make the decisions that they need to make. And so, with this, now we're empowered, right? We can go out and we can find out. And I can tell you, and I'm not joking, I am literally looking for a new washer. I've been online. I've looked at reviews. I've looked at who I'm buying it from, because I want to know what kind of service I can expect should I have an issue. And I can ask questions. And I didn't used to have that with when the technology wasn't as robust as it is today. So this is why the consumer is more difficult and elusive to us to try and get. And it makes us, frankly, harder job for you as a business owner. So touch points. So this is where you have to start thinking about, how can I talk to the consumer where they're at? So it's an outbound and inbound effort. You have to think about it as, how do I talk to them in social? How do I talk to them through different people that they may know? And then every time a consumer touches your business, they're making an opinion. And you got to think about that and think about what the customer experience is. And that is something that I think we don't spend enough time on as business owners. What is the experience that they have, and how can I make it better? Because we've all had situations, maybe not, but some of you, I'm sure, have experienced a bad review. Has anybody in this room experienced a bad review? And you go, holy crap, now what do I do? How do I handle that? And believe it or not, it's how you handle it can make or break the consumer experience as moving forward. So when we work with our customers, we talk a lot about, and we do handle this for them on all their social and reviews, Google My Business, things of that nature. We do handle their reviews, because it's how you answer that question or how you answer that complaint can make the difference in exactly how that consumer will be loyal to you or not loyal to you. So kind of watch making those touch points. So how are consumers shopping for products and services? So today, it all starts online. 87% of people start with their buying decisions online. And if you're not and don't have an online presence, you got to start today. And interestingly, we have a client that we were just having this discussion about today who does not have a website and does not do social media posting. If you're not in those platforms, stop and get started like tonight. Start thinking about it, because that's where they start with. They start to think about, okay, I'm interested in XYZ, how do I go about and find it? And that online presence opens up your store to be 365 days a year, 24/7. And that's why digital is so important in today's online experience. So 48% of customers started searching for a product on mobile. In 2016 is when mobile flipped the desktop. So we used to be always desktop searching, and in 2016, mobile took over with the smartphones. So we deal with a lot of our customers, because we're small business owners, right, that do not have a mobile responsive site. If you don't have a mobile responsive site, you've got to invest in it, because that's where they're going and that's where they're shopping. The other thing that's really important to think about is how much mobile's going to dominate. So if you do any online opportunities to purchase, you got to make it easy for the consumer to purchase online and also in the mobile atmosphere. So two really critical things. And then the biggest thing that we believe is it's not just about your online presence, but it's also about the consumer experience that they have. Can be in store as well. So make sure that whether they're shopping with you online or they're shopping in your store, that the experience is really good. Because you'll note that this last bullet says they'll pay more for a great experience. And if you think about a great experience, and there's one company that's not too far from here that's known for great experiences, and that's Nordstrom. They are the one that started all the great experiences. So how do you compete? I was just having this conversation with someone in this room. How do you compete when it's all digital and Amazon is the almighty playing field? It's with your consumer experience. So just a couple of quick tidbits about this. So has anybody in here heard of Burrell? Okay, so Burrell is a company that is a research company, and they actually started in the media world many years ago, and they flipped their model to go out and do consumer, to understand the consumer, and then sell that information to media companies. So what they do is they go out every year and they do a survey, and they talk to a little over 2,300 people to 3,500 people each year about their experiences. And why is this important is who's driving customers to your store or to your business, and that is referrals from customers. It's not friends and family. It's not the first thing. The second thing is Facebook. And we talk to our businesses all the time. They always say, well, I don't know if I should be in Facebook anymore because I think it's dying. It's the behemoth. It is the Google of the world. So you got to be really good in those platforms. And then the second thing is referrals from family and friends, and then paid social media. So boosted post or paid, we're going to talk a little bit about paid social in a little bit. So you can see kind of where people are coming as far as customers. So you got to think about how those mediums, how do they interact together, and how do they address the consumer. So this is one of our favorite slides. It's what do local ad buyers are loving and not. And if you look at the top 9 things on this slide, it's all digital. So, and I hate to say it, if you're buying Yellow Pages, please don't waste your money. God bless them. But they are at the bottom of the barrel, and people are not spending their money there because nobody is using that resource. We say we're going to Google it. So you've got to start thinking about your content and what you're producing. Digital is going to rule the world. Digital video is what I should say. So that is an area that we're spending a lot of time on, is how do we produce more video content, and that can be used on your website and move very easily over to your social platforms. And then digital audio ads. Hasn't happened yet, but they're predicting by 2022 that Alexa, Google, all that will overtake the search. So you got to start thinking, we're not there yet. Don't invest a ton of money quite yet on audio search, but it is something that they're predicting by about 2022 that will start to take precedence over our type search. So you can see from there that it's mobile messaging, search engine marketing, social media, things of that nature. Questions on any of that stuff that I've gone through so far? Yes, Sam.
So you talked about audio search. If you're looking for a product, how would that work? Because if I'm looking for, like, say, a phone case, and I do an audio search, I need to see what the case is going to be before I actually...
Yep.
It'll serve it to you, though.
Generally speaking, that's what, and we'll...
Can you restate the question?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. So the question came up, and we will cover this a bit more in depth as well, but the question came up about audio search. So it's if you're running pay-per-click campaigns right now or something, it's when you look at your results or you see something that says, hey, Alexa, where do I get the best camera case, or how do I get a camera case for my iPhone? It's that question that initiates through the voice as opposed to being typed in. Right now, the vast majority of the results are still coming back as part of a Safari page will pop up depending upon what kind of device you have, that type of thing. So right now, that hasn't come. Now, they're talking about down the road that the devices and platforms will get to a point where they'll say, yeah, now we need to start thinking about how do we give a result back. If someone's looking for a restaurant, why not give a verbal response back with regard to what the best restaurant is in the area, that type of thing. So it's coming from that perspective, and when it does, it's just going to have to mean that you have to have a strategy around it, and it's going to kind of mean a bit different about how the entire platforms are operating in terms of how you put content on your website, content into your ad campaigns as you build them. But again, we'll touch a little bit more about that. But we see it a lot right now, and when we look at the results of ad campaigns, you can begin to see how the keyword phrasing is going that a lot of people are starting to use. I think it's around 25%, and they think by the end of this year it could be close to 50% of searches will be done through voice. So. All right, so we started touching on it a little bit, and we're going to dive into right now to start with search. And so again, any questions as we go through this process, if we're being too basic, if we're getting in the weeds or something like that, please just don't hesitate to ask from that perspective. But how prevalent is it? When the internet got created and Google we talked about things that are part of our vernacular. Google is part of our vernacular. You sit there and you watch television, right? And as soon as you see something on television, you go right to your phone and go, man, I need to learn a little bit more about that. I mean, search is just inherent in what we do every day. I mean, we sit around the dining table, right? And somebody brings up a question, and it's the race to see who can come up with who won the most Grammys. That was Chris Christopherson was, I think, a bit of a quiz this week because of what was going on with the Grammys and stuff. So, how prevalent is it? I mean, this is a good indication. 85% search online for business information. I'm actually not sure who the other 15% are that don't. When you start thinking about, and we'll kind of try to put these nuggets out there in terms of the importance of certain aspects of search, this one is inherent in all of us. It's a little scary to think about when we think about results. 94% of searches don't go through the first page of Google. Somebody used to have a little joke with us, said, where's the best place to hide a dead body these days? Second page of Google. And it's true. And if you think about it yourself, you don't go past it. You think inherently that everything that you want to see is going to be on that first page. And if you don't see it, generally you're going to go back and research something else to try to get it. The other thing that is really telling as we go through 94% mobile. Mobile is driving everything. These things, used to be, for the occasion, but now this is pretty much everybody's laptop, and if we're in the B2B world or something, absolutely, you might see more results coming into your website. You might be seeing more things coming through your search campaigns that are tied to a laptop or a desktop type device. Chances are, though, in a broader spectrum, most of it's going to be coming through mobile channels. So that's, again, why you have to be constantly thinking about, and maybe that's a good thing to think about today as we go through these things, is just think about your presence, either your business or whatever it is from a virtual mobile, virtual standpoint on the internet. That's what you want to be thinking about in the background here as we go through these things. And how do you look mobily? How do you look competitively as we go through and talk about the search results? The last one, it's the power of intent. 90% of people can act within 24 hours of a search. And that's what's so powerful about it, is because essentially you're getting the opportunity to put yourself in front of somebody who's raising their hand and saying, I have interest in who you are or what you sell or what you do. And that's the power to it. Now, from a search perspective, there's really two ways to look at it. And we're not going to be diving into what we call long tail, short tail. Long tail is SEO, search engine optimization, the things that you do on your website, on your page, off your website, a gazillion other things. It is literally a night we could spend, and we wouldn't even come close to touching from that aspect of it, that would impact the organic way that your presence shows up.
And one thing that you should know is that Google is now changing their algorithms up to 1,000 times a year. And there's no way that you can keep up with that. And there are significant changes. They just rolled one out in January that they'll do a little bit of announcement about, but most of the time they won't tell anybody that they're making these algorithm changes.
Yeah.
And there are companies out there that do nothing but watch what Google is doing to try and figure out what they're changing in their algorithms. And it can change one day you could show up on the first page, and the second day you may not show up at all. And you just don't know what they're changing and how they're doing it. Google's whole thought, though, is they want to increase the consumer's experience when they search. So that is what the relevancy is, what they're trying to figure out. But they are crazy on the amount of algorithm changes that are changing every year.
Can you talk a little bit about, Google just recently announced that they're going to, in the next few years, eliminate cookies on websites?
Sure.
Can you talk about the impact that that's going to have?
It's going to make everybody's life a living nightmare.
That question came up a lot sooner than we thought it was, but we thought that question was going to come, so well done.
Well, what's the question again?
Yeah.
So the question was, Google is talking about eliminating cookies, and a cookie is a tracking pixel. It drops on when it'll be on your site. We use them all the time. It's a tracking pixel so that it can follow you through wherever your searches are. So the question was, how is it going to impact folks companies when they eliminate the cookies? And I don't think ooh, man, I got a lot of back.
You guys hear in the back now?
Yes.
Okay.
Great. Sorry, guys.
I don't know that, I feel like I'm yelling now.
No, please speak up so people in the back can hear.
I don't think that Google knows how they're going to do it because bottom line, it's going to impact their revenue. Okay? And really what they're talking about is that the cookies that they're going to eliminate are third-party cookies. Okay? So, which is always going to be really interesting. What is a third-party cookie? Well, it's a cookie that's put on by a company that's outside of the Google platform or outside of Google. So I don't know that Google's totally figured out, or have they told anybody that they've figured it out, because it will impact their revenues. Because a tracking pixel allows us as marketers to serve to people that may have been to our website additional information, or may give them another nugget or show them a place to go for more content. And that we pay for that, right? So we shall see.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's a 100% answer on that one yet.
It's probably going to go hand in hand with, there's sort of that race to privacy, and Google's kind of really stuck in the middle, and I think we talked about it, is, they want to create the best consumer experience as possible. There's no question about that. A lot of the decisions they do make is to try to make sure that that result and what they're showing you is as relevant as possible. The other side of it, though, is that revenue piece of what they do, and they have to make that revenue to continue to exist. So to Jandel's point, it'll probably largely be in terms of closing out the platform, and a lot of them are starting to do that, and we'll talk about that now. I mean, most of the platforms we're going to talk about now, instead of having to go through a different network to buy it, you're really going to be able to do it. You can do it direct, and they encourage you to do it direct now. But the other part about that is, again, how the consumer basically continues to react to it. And, certainly this year you see the advent of the vast majority of websites that you go to that are asking you or saying, hey, we use these cookies. You're probably still kind of saying, yeah, I accept, because whatever it is that's on that page, you want to engage with. And there is something to that aspect of it in terms of the value that you get out of knowing that you're going to serve something that's relevant. So a lot unknown there, but a lot will happen within probably the next couple of years that will continue to evolve this. Of course, we might be sitting here 2 years from now and the same question might be coming up. So SEO, we're not going to really touch on tonight. We're really focusing again on SEM, which, the definition, the process of marketing your business using paid advertisements that appear in search and your result pages. It's what's commonly known as pay per click. So why use paid search? So it operates obviously differently than organic, and everybody kind of understands that difference, right? So, and we're going to take a look at a page, but if someone's searching for a business and they say, hey, Elm Grove florist, if you're a florist in Elm Grove, you've got a pretty good chance of coming up on the first page of that result. If you are Someone searching Elm Grove florist and they're in Wauwatosa, again, good still chance. But if someone begins to get generic with that request and they're in Tosa and they say florists near me, proximity-wise, you might be close, but you've seen the results and you see that opportunity from an organic standpoint, and we know how important it is to be on that first page. So it's one of those things where, again, it's really important for you as you look at your individual businesses to see what your presence is in terms of how people are searching for you and what do you look like that. And inherently the challenge is, and we've got a remodeler that is in Menominee Falls and he wants to be known in Whitefish Bay. And to be organically known in Whitefish Bay when he's geographically located in Menominee Falls. I mean, yeah, there are things that can be done from an SEO standpoint, but there's a ton of competition. There's tons of remodelers out there. So in absent of being able to get there, it's that opportunity through things like pay-per-click to basically say, there's intent happening in this particular area. They're searching for what it is that I do or my service. I want to have an opportunity to get that intent, to get that business. And that's, in a nutshell, basically what pay-per-click allows you to do. Where to buy a BMW in Brookfield or BMW in Brookfield, no matter how the variation of that search results is, when someone's looking for this, you got a pretty good idea. If you're a BMW dealer in Wauwatosa, might want to show up in that result. I might want to buy that keyword BMW because I want to, just because you're looking in Brookfield doesn't mean you can't be looking in Wauwatosa, that type of thing. So that's really where it's effective. We like to think of it, and again, we take the traditional and go to the new. It's kind of like buying that newspaper ad. The difference is that person that's about to turn that page of that nursepaper is saying, I really like to learn about X, as they turn that. And then they're able to see literally what they're looking for to get answers to those questions. It's a great way to look at it.
Yes, Sam.
Quick question. So you talked about proximity.
Yep.
And you said like BMW near me or contractor near me.
Yep.
How does location services on your mobile affect that? 'Cause
Huge.
Google will always say, do you want to turn on location services?
Huge. Yeah. It's a positive and it's a negative. Sure. So location services, and this is what the advent of mobile is. If you think about your desktop doesn't move. So basically the question is, since so much search is happening through the mobile device now, and your mobile device changes frequently in terms of, you might live in Brookfield but work downtown. So during the day, you're downtown. During the night, you're in Brookfield, and your phone's going to change from that perspective. So that aspect of it, because the mobile device is constantly moving and constantly changing, the positive to that is that you get that opportunity to say, someone that's within this particular geographic region, if they're looking for something and the search is near me, you're going to get that opportunity to kind of get that immediate result. They're in the neighborhood, they're looking for that next opportunity or store to get this at, and you've got that opportunity to show up. So there are some positives with that. The negative challenge with that is depending upon, we see this a lot, for example, in search results. Someone's within our particular area and they're looking for a chimney sweep, but they say, I'm looking for a chimney sweep in Wausau. So we're linking ourselves, we're not buying Wausau, right? But the person's mobile device, their phone, whatever reason is, when that search takes place, they're in Wausau. So from that perspective, you're looking at that and you're saying, okay, well, good we showed up, maybe there's a local need there or something like that, but it's one of the things from a search perspective you've got to be cautious about, and those are the things, for an example, in that scenario we would say, all right, we've got to add Wausau to what's called a negative keyword. So from a mobile standpoint, as it grows and advents, when you run search campaigns, it just means you have to pay a lot more attention to the type of phrasing that's being purchased and the type of keywords that you have in play. And just know that, in that one scenario, no one ever may search chimney sweep Wausau again within the area that we want to be targeting. But to prevent our search from showing up again, we'll add Wausau to that negative keyword because that's not an area we service. We don't want to deal with it. So those are the things that you have to keep in mind from that perspective when you structure and run a campaign. All right, so what's the landscape look like? Google, like everything, the percentages are all over the board, but typically it's usually about 70 to 75% of all searches exist on Google. So if you're going to do search, Google's probably, one of the only places that you need to be. Now, that said, Bing and Yahoo are two other search engines. They really are the same one, essentially, but they don't get nearly the traffic. But if you still want to reach people, with intent, there's still potentially great search engines to pay attention to. Usually less competition on those. So the keywords, if you're in a very competitive keyword market and you're buying something and it's costing you $20, Bing and Yahoo, it might only cost you 15 or 10 because there just aren't as many people there. But for the most part, you're thinking Google. And we already kind of hit on this a bit, but the emergence of the voice-activated search, hey Alexa, hey Siri, we kind of talked about that a little bit, but that's again going to continue to grow, and that's basically what comes with whatever device you've got. Yeah.
What drives Alexa versus Siri versus Google Assistant? Because I know a lot of them are attached to different search results, and if you're going to pay for ads, it's like, how many people have Siri? It's like, I want to be on that. I want to pay for searching on. So they use Google.
Repeat the question.
Or I know for a while they were using Yelp, which is
Repeat the question.
Yeah, so the question is with especially with voice, it's where the results coming from. So if you're searching from it, is that particular phone using Google for the results, or are they using Bing or Yahoo, or in some cases, point on Yelp? And you might see that in some specific areas where they're saying, hey, they've got a partnership with Yelp for restaurants. So when it comes to searching, doing a voice search for a restaurant, we're going to work with Yelp and their database, and that's the result we're going to be coming up. It's hard to tell where that's going to go, but it's one of those things where, again, Google is still the 800-pound gorilla. So from that perspective, the vast majority will probably continue to use them. But I guess what we would tell you again is it's part of that investigation of your own business. Do these things. Do a search within your region or your home or your target market for your product, for your service, for keywords of variety, and start getting a feel, if you haven't been, for what you're seeing, what's showing up. And that will tell you a lot of where you might need to be as you plan out a campaign down the road.
Keep going.
The anatomy of a paid search page, this is pretty common, what you most see. You've got the ads at the top, and this screenshot actually at this point is, even though it was probably taken about 3 months ago, is old because they just made a change to what this looks like. But what they've done primarily is they've basically made, if you're on a desktop or laptop, you're pretty much seeing the same thing as you would in a mobile experience. They're driving all of their results now to that single result. There isn't anything on the side anymore from that perspective because that's the mobile experience. But you have the ads at top. You get into the business listings, and again, this is another one that's largely driven from an SEO perspective. The local free big listings or the Google map listing a lot of times is off of like your Google My Business page, so that's one thing from an SEO perspective. Your Google My Business page is something you want to pay a lot of attention to. You want to treat it almost like a mini website. You want to add content to it. You want to get reviews to it. In some cases, one of the things that they're doing with this in categories that are driven largely by reviews is they're saying, who's got the most reviews and the best reviews? And then we're going to populate that area. Then you get into the organic results. Now, how has this changed recently that you might see? So again, Google's trying to inform a bit more, so they've changed the boxes a little bit here, so the ad at the top is a little bit clearer. And as you go through this area, and they did it in mobile about mid last year, and they just switched over in January, although we're not seeing it anymore, so it's interesting to see what happened. But if you started looking through the result here, you would see what's called a favicon. And it's basically the little tiny logo right there that exists. And it's essentially, it could be your logo, but if you went through the results, you might see, hey, there's the Yelp logo, there's the House logo, hey, there's our little logo or our little emblem or something along those lines. So what they started doing is they started adding those there because what they're trying to do is they're thinking that they're making the result that much more informative so that you can see right away as you breeze through that page where's that content coming from? Oh, that's Yelp. Oh, that's House. Oh, that's, that's a business. I've not seen that logo before, that type of thing. That's what they're doing right now. They've made the ad pieces more clear, and the research that we've seen within the last 2 to 3 weeks is that even by making it more clear, it not only hasn't impacted any of the results in terms of, click-through rates on ads, in some cases it's enhanced it. I mean, people have kind of gotten to the point right now where they can make the decision. They know those are ads. And in some cases, if it's a well-written ad and they know that it's delivering intent, they're going to click on that just as much as they're going to click on this.
Keep going.
Yeah.
On that note, are there any studies or do you have any data on the effectiveness of pay-per-click versus organic search results? As a consumer, when I go on Google, I know that the top results are usually ads. And so I'm scrolling through those, but I'm still biased towards organic search results, thinking to myself that those organic search results will represent kind of the true leaders in that particular category. So in terms of deciding whether you can invest in pay-per-click and those ads, is there any research or data that suggests that people will click on those ads, or are consumers savvy enough to kind of scroll down and start looking for the organic?
95%.
Yeah. I mean, this gives you a pretty good idea. 95.3% go to the top 4 clicks.
Top 4 page results.
Yeah.
Are those the ads or are those?
Can't be a combination.
Yeah. They're not really, to be honest with you. And it's one of those things that, we've looked into a ton of people look into it. It's one of those things too where you can kind of bang your head against the wall, because the reality that we would tell you exists is if there is a result or reason that you want to show up, it may just be impossible financially or impossible technically to get into that organic result. And that's not to say that you don't want to try, but I mean, depending upon the category of business that you're in, and we're going to talk about lead aggregators here for a while, I mean, there are companies like Yelp, like House, that just spend so much money to ensure that they gobble up that first page. And Google's trying to get better with that. They're trying to get better with trying to get more local results into that arena. If we start seeing it, over time, and we start saying, yeah, this is definitely something that there's a way to get in there, and these are the tactics that we want to keep doing. But in the meantime, if we need to generate business right now, and you want to be a part of that result, buying an ad is the way to do it. So, just again, kind of some statistics, do's and don'ts. You can actually go in. I mean, and some of you probably have. I mean, you can go and you can set up your own campaign. Google does a lot in terms of giving advice, in terms of what you should be looking at for keywords. And sometimes it's just a good way to get in and test it and see what's going. We'll throw one red flag out to you because we run into this all the time. The default geography when you set up a pay-per-click campaign is the United States. So we've seen...
And you typically won't find it. So we see it all the time where we're getting results for somebody in Lexington for an auto repair.
Yep.
Or a chiropractor in Sheboygan, and we're located in Brookfield.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, so we're try to call those people and let them know what's going on and what's happening. But it's a great area. Yes, you can spend a lot of money pretty quickly, but if you set the right parameters up and you play around with it, it's a good way. It's a good way to test to see, and frankly, it's a good way to drive traffic. I mean, there's a lot. And this is the vicious circle that's SEO, right? SEO. One of the things is, well, what's your web traffic like? And it's one of the factors they take into it. Well, how do I get web traffic? Maybe I got to buy ads. Because I'm not getting a lot of it. So it's this vicious Google circle that they keep us in. Yeah.
The second to last.
Yeah.
Can you explain that?
Yeah. So the best thing you can do when you set up a campaign is is to hire us first. Well,
but that aside,
we kind of talked about it. I mean, inherently, you can have the best guesses that you can possibly come up with in terms of, these are the type of words that people are going to search to find my business. and then you can enter those into them. But that
there's
scenario,
phrasing that can go into it as
Yep.
well. So there could be a couple of different words. There's a lot of things that you should think about with negative keywords, because you could be wasting money very quickly.
Can you give an example of a negative keyword?
What is a negative keyword?
So a negative keyword would be, so what is a negative keyword? A negative keyword might be a location situation. You're located in Brookfield, but we find somebody that's searching for you and they're out of Chicago, or they're in Chicago, and your result is showing up, so you make Chicago a negative keyword. Or the product and service that your ad is showing up on, that they clicked on, you may not have that product or service. So you make whatever they're searching for. We have a mold remediation company, and we get a lot of weird things with mold, for example. So mold on, I can't make this up, mold on my comforter. So a mold remediation company is not going to do anything for a comforter. So we would make comforter a negative keyword. You don't want to make mold a negative keyword because that'll impact the results. But the comforter, you would make because they're not going to work in that space.
the hope is, I mean, you'd think, even if they search that, the hope is that your ad is written well enough that the result comes up and they look at it and say, oh, that's not what I'm looking for. Doesn't always happen that way. So, yeah.
Yes.
You've said many times a well-written ad. Could you give us an example of a well-written ad? With the small space that you can put on.
A lot of it, well, and actually that's another thing. Google's really been expanding the amount of content, so you can put, and part of it's because of voice search, they're starting to give you that opportunity to write more of a conversational ad that speaks to that, trying to capture that potential voice language that's used and everything. But it's something that, again, is going to be specifically, I think, that gets right at the core of what it is that what you do. One of the things that we won't get a ton into, but so you know, what's on your website does actually have a pretty significant impact in terms of how successful you can put a pay-per-click campaign together. We've met with clients before, potential clients, and they've said, I want to start this right now. And we've looked at their website and said, we can't. Because whatever it is that you want to be known for, your website's not telling that story. It's not talking about it. And Google has what's called quality scores. And so again, that relevancy, just because someone's buying that keyword, they don't necessarily want to show that ad if the end destination is something that's not going to be useful. So use your web content to kind of help drive that language that's there, and then in a lot of cases that that'll help you determine what's there. The other thing again is just go through that process of doing Google searches, start seeing the differences in the language that's put there, and that'll help be a pretty good guide.
We got to pick it up.
We're going to touch real quickly on Google Local Services. If you're a service-based business, this is one of the additional things that they've added. Electricians, for example, sitting at the very top. This is Google's attempt basically to hijack lead aggregators, the Hows of the world and everything. So it's an opportunity for them to say, we're going to put these even on top of a pay-per-click ad. It's an opportunity for these businesses to be here, and you can pay to be there. And get that click to you from a lead standpoint. They do tend to be more
Expensive, more expensive.
And then the other thing you can do is you can also pay to be Google guaranteed. And so that's their version of a certified Google retailer, where what they'll do is, in this scenario, is if someone has a bad experience, let's say, they'll reimburse up to $2,000. You have to go through a pretty significant background check for that. Just so you know, but it is not in all categories and all services. Certainly if you do searches, but a lot of service-based areas, they're starting to put those up there. So again, that's another opportunity, and again, that's done directly with Google.
Okay, so YouTube. How many of you think about YouTube as a search agent? Okay, good. Google actually bought YouTube in 2006 for $1.6 billion, and according to the CEO, Susan Wojcicki, it is now worth $160 billion. Dang, I wish I would have gotten in on the ground level, right? So why is it important to think about video? We talked a little bit about it earlier. Here's just a couple of quick tidbits about it. Every single minute, 500 hours of content is going up on YouTube. Holy cow, right? Over 1 billion people listen to YouTube every month. That makes it the largest streaming audio service out there. If you have kids, they have a children's channel, 44 billion views. So the whole thing about this is just think about when you're starting to build content, you got to build content in a video platform as well, because people do go and search there. It is the #1 place to go for a how-to, or I need more information, how do I fix something, things of that nature. And we'll show you an ad in a few minutes about that. But I think it's kind of interesting to think about what YouTube has done in a very short period of time and how they've taken over the search area. So why and what? How do we use it? How could you put it into your marketing strategy? How many of you know what an explainer video is? Okay, a couple of you. An explainer video is something that would actually detail out how a product or service is put together, or how you may help a consumer, things of that nature. And they tend to be, don't always have to be, but they tend to be more of a graphic visual, where they might have a stick person or something like that. You see them a lot sometimes on TV. Right now, they're getting into explainer videos. Do a training video. Talk about how your product or service can help this consumer. Use a webinar. You can do a quick webinar talking about how the product or service, you can educate the audience on a theme or a topic. And we work with a lot of service-based industries, and we do this a lot. The amount of depth of knowledge that we're lucky that we have with our customers, and what they can share is pretty significant, and you can do that as well. Don't make it too informal, but do think about how you can do a webinar. And then customer stories. Share real customer stories on your YouTube channel. The other thing is, when you think about creating YouTube content, you got to think of it as just like blog content. So whether it's written word, you can do video blogs or vlogs, is what they're also called. And then how can you use them? You can use it on your website and then cross promote it on your social channels. So, and then also email marketing. We're embedding links to our videos. We have a guy that started a snowblowing service, and we're linking to his snowblowing and what he does differently than his competitors, so that people can go from an email directly into his YouTube channel. Okay. So this is a couple of examples of the ads that are showing up on YouTube. So if you don't have YouTube content, but you still want to go out and get into the search, you can see here we have a florist Milwaukee, and you can see that there's 2 ads up there. And on the other side is window cleaner Brookfield, and you can see that there are 2 ads there. So we are placing ads for our clients in Google, and it goes on to YouTube as well. The other thing that we would tell you, and we didn't include this in our presentation, if you use Yelp, and they're going to call you like nobody's business 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, they are notorious. If you are buying Google ads, you are going to show up in their platform. So, because they sell their inventory to Google. So we constantly battle that when we're talking with our Yelp partners. Okay, social media. We're going to rip through social media a little bit, so because we've got short time and a lot of things to cover yet. Social media, you got to think about it as your megaphone, right? You go on and you do something on your website, and it's great you have this beautiful website, but if you don't tell anybody about it, they're never going to come to you. So you got to think about social as your outreach platform to talk about what is going on in your business or on your website, or new content, new products, things of that nature. It's also a great place for you to start thinking about, how do I generate warm leads? How do I communicate what I've got to a consumer? And you can do that simply with a boosted post or Facebook advertising, which is something that we use quite a bit with our clients. And then finally, social media strategy can help you with your touch points, things that are going on in your marketplace, Or if you get a great customer review, it's a great way to make a post on, hey, we just got a great review and we want to share it with the world. So social media really does matter in today's marketplace. So what social media sites should you be using? All right, this is always our favorite question because we get it on almost every call. What should I be doing? Should I be on Facebook? I really want to go after the younger crowd. Shouldn't I be on Snapchat or Instagram and things of that nature? We would tell you that Facebook is the 800-pound gorilla, and Facebook owns Instagram. So while the platforms in theory work together, Instagram does have a younger demographic, but Facebook is still the 800-pound gorilla. If you're into Twitter, we do not recommend Twitter right now. It's a platform that if President Trump wasn't a Twitter maniac, that platform was on its way out. So it's pretty politically charged. So bear with what you're going to get and don't expect a ton from your results because it's just not a platform that seems to generate a lot of user interaction. And then we'll talk a little bit about LinkedIn. So, all right, so here's how it kind of looks. As far as percentage of adults that are using the platforms, you can see that in 2018, YouTube really started to pop up. So that YouTube is now 73% of people are using YouTube as a social media platform. Facebook is, as I said, the 800-pound gorilla. And then you see Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Twitter, WhatsApp, and Reddit. The other one that how many of you heard of TikTok? Okay, and you're all going, should I get in TikTok? TikTok is this big. It's really big in China and abroad, but it's just not making the play yet here in the United States. So don't spend your time getting into TikTok at this point. To give you an example, on any monthly, there are about 8, let me look. TikTok gets about 124 million people that are using it in the United States versus Facebook. Are you ready for this? Gets about 170 million people using it every month. So don't worry about TikTok at this point. Next slide I want to show you, though, is why we are proponents of Facebook. And this is a little blurry, so we're sorry about that. But you can see the age breakout. The greens are ages 12 to 34. The next, the blues are 35 to 54, and then 55 plus. And when we get this comment or question from our clients, we always talk about, well, who's buying you, right? What does your demographic look like? So instead of jumping in and saying, I got to be in Snapchat because that's where all the kids and they're up and coming, their disposable income compared to somebody that's in a 50-year-old or 45-year-old is nothing. So go where you're going to get your money and your best bang for your buck. So it's Instagram, Facebook and Instagram are your top two, and they work well together. So you can talk to a little bit younger demographic. Instagram is very visual. Facebook, you can have a little bit more content. So think about that as well. So, all right. So organic versus paid social. Organic posts are things that you are only going to, when you share something, it's only going to be the fans to your page. If you even get in their feed. That's the hard part in today. Today, on any given day, Facebook could put about 2,000 things into your feed, but you are not going to get through 2,000, so you get about 200. So how do you get into a feed when you're a business? It's pretty hard. We're going to tell you that. You can try with boosted post. You can't do as much as you can if you get into paid advertising. Paid advertising allows you to actually get into people's feed because we can demographically target, and we can also look at their behaviors and target their behaviors as well. Boosted post doesn't allow you to do that. You can look at what do they like and then geographically, and it's not very expensive. Don't expect a lot of results because sometimes you do get what you pay for. Versus paid advertising where you can get in Facebook and in Instagram, you can get into the feeds of folks and actually get your product or service out in front of them. So, sponsored posts, I don't know. I think we can run through this pretty easy because I just kind of talked about it all.
The next one?
Yeah.
All right, so there is a difference between boosted posts and Facebook ads. So how many people in their social channels right now do boosted posts? Okay, quite a few. How many people are running on the Facebook ad manager, ad exchange? Okay, all right, good. The difference, and we try to break it down in terms of a nutshell and everything, is the boosted post is the opportunity to basically be able to take something that's in your newsfeed and, you know, through some simple targeting that they offer you, basically friends of friends, or you can do some geography targeting, put some demo targeting over it. It's an opportunity to sort of expand that network. And it's a great way from a branding standpoint to not only, one, get out to your existing audience, as we talked about. You might have a lot of followers. We've seen this before with people that run contests and they have a ton of followers, and then they wonder why they're not getting that engagement. It's because they ran a contest, they got a lot of followers, but it doesn't mean that people want to engage with it. So if you're going to do that contest, you're going to get them. Boosted posts are a great way to say, yeah, I'm going to get into at least a larger portion of these folks. The other thing to think about is, you know, what posts are you doing that are getting good engagement with your core, your base, right? And you start seeing certain posts that do that, it's a great one to say, hey, I'm going to put $10 behind this or $50 behind it, somewhere from that perspective. And a great way to expand the business from that standpoint, and then really dip your toe into what the opportunity is with Facebook.
One of the things that we tell our clients is that if you're doing paid Facebook advertising, you may never see it. And that might be okay. So don't go, I think I'm spending all this money and I'm not seeing my ad. You shouldn't be if you're targeting it to the other folks or targeting it to your demographic.
So Facebook ads, it's created through Facebook, and we talked about this a little bit. A lot of them have taken control of their platforms. So if you're on Facebook advertising, you have to run it through Facebook Ad Manager. And what it just allows you to do, if you think about Facebook considered a first-party platform, the amount of A, information you give it yourself, and B, what your viewing and search habits tell their algorithms about you, you can get pretty granular from a targeting standpoint. So when you start getting into their ad manager, you know, they'll break it out and they'll say, okay, do you want awareness, do you want consideration, do you want conversion? And then underneath each one of those three, there'll be a whole, you know, series of different types of ad creatives and different types of campaigns that you can go after. One of the ways that we use Facebook advertising with our customers is what are called lookalike audiences. You have a database, right? First of all, you have the audience that follows you right within Facebook, but you might have a database, an email database of customers that have walked in the door. You can literally take that, you can put that into the ad manager, and what they'll do is they'll basically go and find people that look like your followers or people that look like people on your email list. They'll find the people on your email list. So if you only have that person in this arena, and you're thinking to yourself, boy, it'd be great to get another touch point, you can put it into Facebook, they'll match it. Usually an email list is about a 50% match rate, but suddenly now you've got an opportunity to say, I'm talking to this person only through email, but now I can start talking to them through the advertising in Facebook platform. Those are the types of things that you can do. The other types of ads you can run get a lot more granular. You can run what are called lead-based ads. And those are growing in popularity. So you see something that you like a lot and you say, you know, I'm interested in this. I want to find out more about it. You click on it. It doesn't take you to a website. It doesn't take you to a separate landing page. It keeps you within the platform. The form is populated nearly completely because you've given them all that information. You might be able to ask. We have a egress window company that does this. Explains why you want to do something like this. They hit the button to learn more and get a free estimate. They populate 90% of the information we need to know. We ask a couple of more questions to qualify them a bit more, and off goes that lead to the customer. That's, again, a great way to sort of immediately jumpstart an opportunity that you can't do essentially with a boosted post. What do they look like? I mean, this could be a boosted post. This could be a ad on the exchange. This one, chances are, was, and it's a perfect example of, I was helping my son's soccer team with some shirts, and sure enough, within some searches that I'd been doing, this fabulous company started following me. And yeah, it's creepy, say what you will, whatever, but at the end of the day, it's relevant, you know, and there's a good chance that I'm going to engage with that type of thing. From a LinkedIn perspective, those of you that are in a B2B marketplace, is LinkedIn a great advertising vehicle? Absolutely, no question about it. Some of the statistics that you see here in terms of engagement from a consumer side to that B2B world, the trust factor, the engagement factor, and LinkedIn's done an amazing job. A handful of years ago, where they were headed, what was being posted there was starting to turn a little bit into Facebook. They've done an amazing job of taking control of their platform, really defining who they are and what they serve, and they've kind of knocked, we feel like, everybody else out of the way. So, easiest thing to do from this standpoint, somebody told this to you, should I run ads on LinkedIn? Ask this question. Would a professional in a day job mindset likely be interested in my product, service, or offering? If that's a yes, even if you've got some kind of a consumer product, it could be an avenue for you from an advertising standpoint. Think of it very much like Facebook, just from the business perspective. They control their platform as well. They used to allow advertising from third parties. Now they've taken control of it. So you have to advertise through their campaign manager. There's really 3 different types of advertising that you can do. There's little text ads. You can obviously buy sponsored feeds. You can actually do in-mail, and you can do sponsored in-mail. And again, their campaign manager, log into it, play around with it, see, start looking at the audience sizes. Hey, I might want to reach this, might want to reach that. From a cost perspective, it tends to be higher than, say, the consumer-based pay-per-clicks, those types of things. But I mean, again, it depends upon what you're trying to accomplish. And they do allow you to basically do it on a cost-per-click basis, a cost-per-impression basis. The in-mail piece of it's done on a cost per send. So whatever that audience is at the end that you end up selecting, that's essentially what you end up paying for.
We would tell you, if you are in a B2B situation, don't rule out Facebook and Instagram, because the people that you may want to interact are on there, and you want to get in front of them as in the touch point with a social platform. So don't just say that I'm in B2B and that does not play in my space, because your consumers, their consumers are on those platforms.
A display advertising standpoint, it's still there, obviously. Going through it, and we'll show you some examples real quick, but what we're talking about is if you're on Yahoo or if you're on JS Online or one of the local news stations and you see ads, some of those are closed platforms. So some of those you can buy through a network and you get on anyways. Some of them have proprietary platforms or certain proprietary ad positions that you might need to work with that media company to be able to get them there. We're talking about, these were the old terms that have kind of been replaced, but it's like banner ads, tile ads, pencils. This is the targeting if you have a company that comes in and talks to you and says, you can do geo-targeting. I just want to map this particular area. Or contextual targeting. Somebody owns a pet shop, right? Well, there are websites out there that have nothing but pet information on them. So maybe that's a place that we might want to run some advertising or other types of demo targeting. We would tell you if you're doing these types of things or you're engaging, local media in particular about them, and they have big audiences at times, but there's certain things in terms of, making sure that you stay above the fold. This is what, that initial load, is going to have that most impact instead of, something that's just rotating towards the bottom of it. This is an example of Fox 6. Sometimes these are really good too if you think about, if you've got any kind of seasonality, or let's say weather plays into it. If weather plays into it, putting some kind of a campaign like this together with maybe some of the local news stations, that's when people, eyeballs and traffic is going there, and you can work with them to say, hey, when this thing's happening and schools are closing or whatever, I want to make sure my ad appears here because, again, whatever I have resonates to that. Those are the ways to think about those particular types of opportunities from a digital landscape. Real quick, retargeting, remarketing. Retargeting, remarketing, there's a difference. We'll explain it really quickly. Retargeting is basically, from a digital advertising standpoint, the mindset, and this is where we go back to the cookies, where we say, hey, somebody went to our website and we put this on them and we want to follow them with our marketing and advertising. We think, and we encourage, we do retargeting all the time up until we can't do it anymore, we're going to do it. Because if you think about it, one is the consumer seldom does what you want them to do the first time they go to your website. And the second thing is whatever you've done to get them there, whether you're running TV or radio or you're running advertising, right? You've just now created a customer. And if they go there and they visit and they leave and you don't track them and you don't keep track of them, you've just kind of lost that opportunity. You've lost that money you've invested. So retargeting is that opportunity to basically say, you know, I'm going to give them other content. I'm going to share with them more about who I am. Remarketing is the same thing. Think about it, though, more from a standpoint of maybe you're at an event and you've collected a whole bunch of emails and you want to speak to them or you want to call them directly. It's the same concept, it's just you're having a much more direct encounter back with them. That's the difference really between remarketing and retargeting. A lot of times they're interchangeable phrases. Okay, almost done through this piece of it. Lead aggregators, what are we talking about and what are they? They're the Houzz, they're the Yelp, they're the Pinterest, they're the Angie's List of the world and everything. Why do you want to have some kind of a presence on them, whether it's organic or paid? Everybody knows them. I mean, these companies dominate the search results. They spend tons of money to make sure that they're not only getting that organic result. The irony of it is they not only spend a ton of money to get the organic results and they put a ton behind it. We run into them all the time when we run pay-per-click campaigns. Sometimes the biggest competitors of our clients running pay-per-click campaigns are these because they have their own paid model, and so they're basically trying to drive leads in so they can resell them. But a lot of people know of them. They do get a ton of web traffic. So we definitely encourage that idea that, you know, anywhere on these sites, because they're trusted, have a presence. If it makes sense for your business, have a presence. Take advantage of the free listing that they give you. Build it out. You know, that all really plays well from an SEO standpoint. From an advertising aspect of it, I think we talked about Yelp and we heard some chuckles on there, so some of you have been on the phone with Yelp before and what that means. You know, we're not to say that, you know, their ad campaigns can't be effective. It's worth a conversation, especially if one of these, you know, has a lot of traffic within your business space. But, you know, maybe stick to one or two and really measure the ROI. I mean, essentially, again, you're paying for someone else to get a lead and bring it to you. That's always going to cost more.
So we can give you a quick example. We have a professional window cleaner. His leads will cost anywhere from $8 to $12 through Google pay-per-click. And through his home advisor, he's paying $35 to $55 per lead. So and it'll vary depending upon what your business is, but that's just to give you an example. So he's paying them to serve a lead, and sometimes they're competing. So some of the platforms will put your bid up, if you're a consumer, against 3 other businesses, and it's the first business that can get to you. So.
A lot of times it's a pay-per-lead type program that they offer. A lot of them will also try to sell you, though, on the other traditional media products. A lot of them will try to do pay-per-click campaigns for you, those types of things. Where this isn't a commercial for us, but what we would tell you is if you're interested in using things like Google, specifically, or Facebook advertising, and you don't want to do it yourself, find an agency that's sort of not beholden to them, that's not a big media conglomerate, because frankly, we seldom see these people do it well. You might have a really congenial, nice sales rep, but they sell you the campaign and they hand it off 4 different people down the road. They don't really know your business. They don't really know what you're trying to get out of it, and chances are at the end of the day you're going to get a report in a couple of months and you're going to really be scratching your head going, what did I get out of it? There are people that really do it well that aren't tied to these other businesses that we would definitely recommend would be the first choice for you to go to. Lastly, before we get into the final piece of it, and we've talked about them, we're not going to beat a dead horse about them, but do not forget about reviews. It's weird how hard they can be to get your customers to give them to you. There have been tons of companies that have grown up and said, this is how we can generate reviews for you, do those types of things. We would tell you the search engines, Facebook, really look towards organic. Give you an idea, we had a chiropractor that we talked about, hey, reviews are really great. And
That was Google.
You're right, that was Google. He did it Google, so what he did for a day is every single that walked in the door, he said, give me a review, give me a review, give me a review. And suddenly all these 5-star reviews went up, and they were 5-star reviews, but they all went up within about 2 hours. That's actually a really big red flag to these platforms. They want it to be natural. So keep that in mind with your review strategy in terms of how you're getting them and how you're recommending people do them. Just make it part of your core strategy, conversation, whatever you do. Just make it part of it, let it happen organically from that standpoint, and look at it over a year's time to see the value that you get, and you will get a ton of value out of those reviews. And as Jandel talked about before, when you get a great review, say thank you. When you get a bad review, say sorry about that. Don't get in the weeds of the conversation and tell them how crappy they were or anything like that. But always respond no matter what.
Okay, finally, the biggest question, well, this is one of my favorite quotes. Does anybody know who John Wanamaker is? All right, a couple of people. He was born in 1838, and he was a political figure, he was a religious figure, and he also was the person who started putting a collection of small boutiques together under one roof, calling it a department store. So his comment back in the mid-1800s was, half of my money's wasted, I just don't know what, on advertising, I just don't know what's wasted. I will tell you that that has changed a little bit because you can track really good ROI with digital. That's why when we go out and talk with people, we lead with digital because there is an ROI that's pretty trackable versus a traditional media. And as we said, we came from traditional media, so we think that talking to a large group of people is really important. You're just not going to be able to track it as well as you can when you're on a digital platform. So a couple of things that when we talk about budgeting, we talk about how do you plan for your peak seasons. You need to think about what's going in as you're going into the peak season, during the peak season. So if you start advertising, and let's say you're a seasonal-based business, just to make the example simple, and you're a landscaper, starting in late February, early March, you should start advertising before you start to get into your peak. So you want to start a couple of weeks before your peak season and then carry it all the way through your peak season. Coming out of the peak season doesn't mean you should shut off all the advertising. You just reduce the amount that you're going to do. But that you want to always advertise through your cycles. The other thing to consider is if you're a grocery store, you have a very short product cycle. You have 7-day product cycle, roughly. If you're a mattress store, your product cycle is a 10-year. So you want to advertise through the product cycle as well. So that's why you see grocery stores are in every week, because they have new offerings, right? And we're shopping every week. Why are mattress stores always on TV or always in the newspaper or always on digital? It's because they have a long product cycle and they need to advertise through to that thin market. Does everybody know what a thin market is? Okay, I'll give you the 30-second thin market. There are only so many people in the marketplace on any given day that are in the, looking for your product and service. So you have to constantly, that's who we're trying to target. That's who we're trying to figure out who they are so that we can then use our advertising dollars to capture those people. Finally, you want to flip it? Know your customer. Talked a little bit about the thin market concept and going through the cycle, but the big damn dirty question of the night is, how do you manage? What should I be budgeting for marketing or advertising? So here's a rule of thumb. Depends on what you're doing. If you're a brand new store, you can't go in with just a couple of dollars. You got to tell people you're going to have to spend more. Or if you introduce new products, you need to spend a little bit more. But on the guideline, it's usually about 5 to 7% of your gross revenues should be spent on marketing. This is just a little bit. If you're less than $100,000, you should be putting 10% in because you have a small, you're a smaller company, and if you want to grow, we have customers who come to us and say, I want to grow by double my revenue, and it's like, well, it's going to take some money to do that because you're going to have to expand your marketing dollars to talk to more consumers. But this is just a rule of thumb for folks that, depending upon your revenues. Typically, 5 to 7 is what we tell our customers to think about. And that's,
Yeah.
yes.
Why, the higher the revenue, why the less?
Because you have more money. Think of Target, for example. Target's millions and millions, and even though they only spend, and Chris and I used to call on these folks, they'd spend about 2 to 3% of revenue, because that pool of money is so large that they can spread it over multiple venues or vehicles to talk to. So that's why it's a decreasing situation, because the pool of dollars are more. And don't spread your money too thinly, meaning don't go all in on one platform. Try to think about, depending upon the dollars that you have, can you invest in multiple platforms, because you're going to talk to people differently. Another question, yes?
Sorry about that.
No, ask away.
We all have a bucket of money, right? Should there be? Well, I can get a bucket of money.
That's exactly what we would say. Start with a bucket of money. Yeah,
So we have a bowl of money.
yeah.
Do you think there should be a balance of money spent to gather a sale or build a brand, or a combination, right? Because
Yep.
a sale gets you money quick, a brand gets you money forever. So when does that shift? So I need to start from, guessing it's most of us.
What industry are you in?
George.
In marketing?
But it has nothing to do with you, I'm just saying, in general, that's a big thing. LinkedIn, everybody wants to build their personal brand, but that doesn't pay the bills right now. So there has to be a balance, right?
Right.
And
So,
if you have insight, 'cause I don't.
so what we, and we'll talk more about our clients. When we start with them, the question was, how do you know when to switch from trying to get a sale to putting your money into branding? Most of the businesses that we work with, and they're in multi-million-dollar businesses, aren't in the situation just to go out and do branding. Coca-Cola can do branding, right? But small to mid-sized businesses, you need to get the sale. And at some point, when you feel like you are past the point of needing that, that's when I would say you start to look at branding. Because branding is not going to give you an immediate ROI. I mean, that's the difficult situation that you deal with, is I can spend money on getting my brand out there, and I may start to see some ROI, but it's not going to bring the cash register to ring right away. And today, the consumer is so fragmented with all the messages. On any given day, they're inundated with about 5,000 media messages, right? So how do you break through the clutter? And sometimes it's with a branding ad, but the dollars that you have to invest to do branding well, most small businesses can't afford it. So that's my 2 cents worth.
Yeah, and I think sometimes, it really depends on your industry, but I think sometimes it's taking advantage of finding the opportunities. We work with a lot of service-based businesses. One of the things that we do beyond the digital advertising is we highly recommend that they do things like become a member of NARI or the MBA, and they do those shows. And one of the biggest challenges we have when we have them do them is we say, absolutely set yourself up for success to have lead opportunities that come out of it, but don't walk away from that event or that show saying, I only got 5 leads, this was a waste, because you did put your brand forward in front of a much larger audience. So if you can find those types of opportunities where it's kind of the best of both worlds, and that's typically how a small to mid-sized business kind of needs to do it.
Well, and you got to think about everything is your brand, right? How do you look? Do you have logoed gear? Do you have trucks that have your name, or cars that have your name? That's all branding. Do you hand out tchotchkes when you go to an event? That's a branding opportunity. But we would tell you just that most of our small to mid-sized businesses don't have the luxury of having a lot of dollars. They think about branding that way. I'm going to have my guys look, when I go to a business, I'm going to look professional. They're going to have collared shirts. They're going to have logoed shirts. They're going to hand out things that are logoed. That's a branding opportunity. Hopefully it'll bring back the sale. But great question. Thank you. Anybody else have questions? Are you ready for a cocktail and get out of here?
Hold on just 1 second. We ran a little bit long. I hope that you all enjoyed the presentation. Can we give Chris and Jen
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.